Welcome back to the lab course. This is now the Sunday before the course starts, and I am on my way into the lab. It's the new year 2026, and this is all about structure and safety. Setting up the lab course starts for me with adding a button to my lab coat. There is a button for every time the course was held. And this has to do with the gamification element of the course. And I'm proud of my buttons. Structure and safety. Yeah, let's go with structure first. Structure means the lab space is structured and organized in a way that the learning goals can be easily achieved. Apart from everything that I prepared already in December before the Christmas break, I know pretty well by now what to take downstairs, and I still have my trusty list so that anybody else also could set up the lab. Everything that we need is in detail listed, and we have the luxury in this specific building that there are the teaching labs downstairs in the ground floor, on the ground floor. Hence, we have quite easy time setting up the lab. There was also the situation that I set up a lab course in another building that involves much more preparation in terms of packaging and then driving everything by car across campus. So this is much easier. Nevertheless, although I have a little bit of help, it takes a few hours to set up. And that is also why I do this on the Sunday and not on Monday very early in the morning or when everything started already. You can see on the trolley that apart from basic lab equipment like burners and pipetting aids, I also bring downstairs small incubators, and we also have a small centrifuge on the trolley. That is because our lab course is working with genetically modified organisms, so we have to also set everything up according to GenTech laws. And in our case, this means that instead of using the centrifuge here in the course lab and then cleaning it well afterwards for the checkout, we bring our own equipment that obviously is also clean, but we use the same GMOs in the lab upstairs, and I have easier time doing that. The lab space is really luxurious, and don't get me wrong, this is a real luxury to have such a teaching lab as you can see here. A lot of space, everything new. There are pipettes, there's equipment, we have scales, vortex, we have a lot of different basic equipment already provided. This is not the usual setting. Usually teaching labs might be a little old, a bit worn down, and the equipment is not up to date. It's a cost factor. So yes, this is a luxurious environment, which I enjoy a lot, and I enjoyed during the last years being able to use this environment for excellent teaching. Is it possible to teach also with older equipment and in old spaces? Obviously. The same principle applies. Structure. Structure means that every bench is set up in an organized way. There is no question where to find everything that is required for the experiments. The lab is set up in a way that it is crystal clear for the students that come in where they get the plastic that they can grab themselves. It's in one end of the bench. So this is the plastic storage. They can only work independently if everything is organized and structured. And that's what I'm making sure here when setting up the lab. In the previous video about preparation, I already mentioned the color coding, which is, I love it. It's awesome. But it's also, again, a luxury because we are a small group, 12 students in groups of 2. So that's why we have 6 colors, and those colors are available already, so we didn't buy them extra. It helps to organize and code the course. Numbers would also be an option, obviously. And I am already here with round 2 or 3 or 4. We had several trolleys that we have to bring upstairs, downstairs. And the next principle about setting up the lab course is also safety. I have the luxury here to have a seminar room adjacent to the lab course, and I already read the welcome on the board. So I'm looking forward to the next day to have this course and meet the students and get to know them a little bit. Yeah, safety means being aware of GenTech laws and setting up everything in accordance of the German GenTech law. The students get a lesson about what this law is all about and how we deal with the genetically modified organisms, how to put them into the correct waste, how to discard them correctly, how to handle them correctly. And this, for example, is the double bag for the solid waste that we will produce. Also, safety is sterilization. That's I have done already in preparation with the liquids and everything, and I will discard the waste afterwards by proper autoclaving and inactivation. And now, during the course, good laboratory practice involves also sterilizing and disinfecting the benches and keeping everything clean, and that's why 70% alcohol for surface wiping is required, and enough tissue papers and everything that we use in the lab in miniature distributed at the benches. It is important already during a lab course to involve the students actively with keeping the benches clean, with discarding the waste, and so on and so forth. Also, it is part of the safety regimen that we provide the correct soaps to wash the hands and cream and so on. This is important because we do work with hazardous chemicals. Not really very dangerous, but they are hazardous, and we also have an obligation to let the students know where hazards are, and so they can react accordingly. We do not only have solid waste, but also liquid waste. It's all collected separately, and in areas where we do not want to contaminate the surfaces with DNA intercalating dyes, ethylium bromide derivatives, I tape here the surface with this paper that has one side that can soak up liquids, and the other side it's a plastic surface which doesn't allow the liquid to get through. This is then after the course also trashed properly. Yeah, this is part of the safety, and in the yeast course we do not have huge safety risks. Nevertheless, everything starts small, and it's important to be aware. When we know what we are dealing with and we go through the lab with open eyes and awareness, the risks for accidents are absolutely minimal, and that's the aim here, to have a safe and structured learning environment for the students. Although I prepared a lot of things ahead of time, the setting up the lab involves aliquoting small things that were not possible last year, or that were maybe forgotten. In this case, the sterile beads. I simply forgot about them, looked up in my list and observed, oh, there is something missing. Yeah, there is time for that. Going back to the list, checking that everything is done, and then I can look forward to the next week when the course starts. Yes, structure and safety. Take care, happy teaching.